Hello one, hello all, it's the gothiest ghost of them all, Caspa in the flesh. It's time for a review of Jessie Ware. That feels good. Jessie Ware is a singer, songwriter, UK pop star, touching on a whole bunch of genres, be it disco, be it house. We'll get into those. Uh, but yeah. Now, I've been reviewing music for quite a while, but not like formally. So when I heard this album, I was like, "Oh my God, this is it. This is my album of the year right here. This is incredible." But when I was doing that, I didn't really have the channel. I was just posting my favorite albums on social media. That's all I was really doing. But yeah, like, she was bringing the disco vibes back, and do not say disco's dead. If you say disco's dead, you would be wrong, because it's alive and well right here, along with some other genres mixed in. But yeah, like, it was so sensual, so beautiful, so passionate, so uplifting, great grooves, great hooks. She really knocked it out of the park with this one. Jessie Ware really knocked it out of the park here. And the super soaring vocals, although it was like more of a seductive album, more of like foreplay, I would say that. Like, there was, sex is definitely included, but I feel like that was like the first round of that. And now we have round two, where it just goes straight into the sex, straight into it. So this album is pretty much the continuation, the sister album, if you will, of What's Your Pleasure, with a lot of energy, more funk here, more house, but still sticking to her nostalgic guns for sure, and she is blazing them on here. Still bring that lavish dance floor flair here. First leg of this is Jessie just bringing you these sounds that you have heard before. I have heard people say, "No, I heard this back in the '70s, back in the '80s." Meh. But you have. But you're hearing them done well. You're hearing them done in a fresher way in terms of sound. Like, this sounds like, and I'm pretty sure I said this relating to the debut, that this is basically, it sounds like an 80s or 70s song, a great 70s and 80s album that you would have heard back then in the 70s and 80s, because it's great. It's pretty much like nostalgic bliss. It's nostalgic candy. It's so delicious. It's so edible. But it's not giving me a tummy ache. It's so sweet and rich, but it's not really leading me away like the further I bite into it. I mean, there are a few rough spots, but we will get into those later. The album kicks off with like a variation of like fragmented voices in like a very satisfied way, saying, "Ooh, that feels good, that feels good, that feels good," and even grouped as well, just leading into like this funky guitar lead. Kind of reminds me of Earth, Wind, and Fire a little bit, maybe Shining Star. I'm getting like that kind of vibe here, with these breathy, heavenly grouped vocals, and the way they syncopate with the leads is beautiful. And the chanted group vocals over the production really feels funky, really feels soulful. It's like the opening credits of like a 70s movie where guy just got off work, he's about to have a great weekend, he's spinning around, pointing at people like, hey, like the person's just about to have like the best week of their life. Or woman, or non-binary. Doesn't matter. This individual is about to just go to town. And it just has like so much energy here. Jessie's vocals are just gorgeous. And I love like the slick drum rolls, the hand claps, majestic strings, coming in with these sexy guitar lines, and it just really adds the finish here. It's orgasmic. Round two, I mean next track, is this anthemic disco cut with these sexy, groovy house like piano keys with these passionate, breathy vocals, with these sick drum patterns. The track feels like very nocturnal, very like warehouse, and very vintage. It's like a combination of the 90s and the 70s had like a disco house baby. That's basically the best way I could describe it. Also, I love the message too of like sexual expression, not holding back and just being who you are. And with all these laws being passed, I mean, what better time to like put that out now? Just like this liberation of just feeling this liberating feeling that just gives so much power. The following track, Pearls, is like has these heavenly and cute la 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 refrains. La 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 la. Trust me, it sounds better from her than me. Where like the vocals are just beautifully soaring over the track with these ambient synth swells and weeping synth chords. And she just lets loose on the pre-hook. It feels so powerful, so uplifting. It's like a cross between Diana Ross and Shaka Khan. Just a little bit, but when it lets off, it just soars. Like the passion, you just feel it just bursting, just rushing right through. And it's amazing. It's sexy, it's exciting, it's fun. There's so much color here, so much liberation in the production on the song. I just love it. And then we get a ballad pretty early in the track list, I should say, but hey, it's a risk and it panned out well. It's the song Hello Love with like these Afrobeat like drum patterns with a very strong set of passionate vocals, hot sensual jazzy horns, very cinematic and still danceable too. Like that's one thing I love about Jessie. She always like, even if she's hitting you with like a ballad, it still has a groove to it. You could do two-step to it. I know you can't see me stepping because you can't see my feet, but I'm stepping. But yeah, like it's so powerful. I love how this track builds and it just has an ascending quality to it that I love. We return to banger mode on the track Begin Again, which is maybe my favorite track here with these grand, beautiful cinematic group vocals. And it just sounds so defiant and mesmerizing. And then going into like this momentous instrumentation, charismatic vocal leads, and the way the grand piano horns like coalesce with the funky bass and the pianos, it just sounds so fantastic. And Jessie and her production team are just straight up killing it here with more power, more energy. The beauty is like really brought here. Now, as much as I love this album and the theatrics, the sexual celebratory vibes, and the expression, my reservations, I would say, come from Jessie's rapped verses. Not that I have a problem of mixing the two, that's fine, but it just comes off a little cheesy, especially tacky when she's purposely censoring herself. I mean, I know some people think it's cute, but I just think it's kind of, you're doing a bit much. And Shake the Bottle, where she's talking about these escapades with other partners, which is fine, have a blast. But there's this one line that kind of comes off a little bit in bad taste. I know she didn't really mean anything nefarious by it. I'm sure she's good, but the line, like he'll tie you up, he'll tie you down like girls in other towns, with some things going on here that are a little sketch. It kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And as long as I'm complaining, the production on Lightning just sounds so bland, so uninspired, and the way the vocals are mixed and modulated, is pretty much unflattering when you're going for like a smooth, sexy context. But that's just me. Those are just the complaints I have. And also, it's a shame too about Shake the Bottle, because I do dig the Talking Heads reference. But besides those three, like, we're just getting bangers on here. We're getting bangers on bangers, great ballads on here, and we're just back into fire mode with Freak Now, which is a track before the other track I complained about, but hey. And the syncopation between Jessie's effervescent vocals and the pumping synth bass on here is fire. It almost reminds me of Daft Punk in a way. The hook is catchy as hell. I love the DJ chants that are backed up, and with these ascending rhythms and builds, just adds more to the party flair that this thing has. And the close of These Lips is absolutely a gorgeous stunner with these jazzy horns, great rock and groove. It's fantastic. I love the angelic harmonies, the and I know you've heard that chord progression before. I know you have, but she just adds so much to it. Her production team just adds so much to it and doesn't make it sound stale, which is what I love about Jessie. She is taking things from the past and just making them more crisp and more fresh. And I absolutely love that. And the way that the harmonies with these giant commanding vocal runs coalescing with these horns, where I feel like there is a bit of rap influence here with their rap passages, but it doesn't really continue on. She just incorporates it a little bit and it works. So yeah, overall, I did love this album. I did. I didn't love it as much as What's Your Pleasure, but yeah, great return from Jessie. I'm digging it. I'm digging the energy. I'm digging the songwriting of sexual liberation, just being yourself, just having a party, just being free. And also expressing some heartbreak as well. Yeah. So, amazing above and beyond vocals, great production, really kept me dancing the whole time, but still be able to like observe the little textures and nuances here and there. But yeah, and you're probably wondering what my rating is. I'm feeling a 4 out of 5 on this album, but that's just my opinion. If you've given this album a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? And why? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, that's it. Caspa, Gothic Ghost, Jessie Ware. That feels good. Till we meet again.